and welcome to Reviews from the Beer Can Room, COVID-19 edition. We are social distancing. We are sheltering in place.
What are you talking about? We're in the beer can room together.
I built a set. This is all practical effects. I built a set to mirror the beer can room exactly, and I think it looks pretty good.
It does look good.
Well, the cans are a little too big, but they're easier to paint when they're larger. Now, of course, that's not true. So,
where are you, really?
We're gonna get rid of it. I am sitting in my little basement studio, and I've darkened out all the background to not be too distracting. I couldn't do anything about this stuff, but anyway.
We're way more than 6 feet apart doing this. This is our first experimental Zoom beer can room review. I'm in the beer can room, so it's official.
Yeah, and we would ask that if you have opinions about whether or not this works and the look of it, please leave them in the comments below, and we'll take a look. We didn't get a lot of comments from the last show, so we don't have a whole lot to talk about in that way, but we got a little bit. We did get, I believe it was our friend, we won't say who it was, but a friend of ours did say that she thought that book clubs were great, and there was a lot of fascinating discussion going on.
Yeah, there was I think there are a few maybe grouchy book club comments, but it's to be expected, honestly.
Yes. From the VGBC, the Very Grouchy Book Club. So.
It ain't no film league, that's for sure.
That's for sure, my friend. All right. So we're all staying safe. We hope you are too. And we figured that's no reason to stop. Let's keep providing content to the masses. And here we are. So let's get right into it with film news. As you might imagine, there's not a lot of film news per se.
No,
because all of the theaters are closed. So that I think knocks Sonic the Hedgehog out of its number one positioning from last time.
I think it retains it. I think it's breaking records right now. Yeah,
that just holds the record until there's box office again.
I think so.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
I did not foresee Sonic the Hedgehog. 15 weeks on as number one.
That's what it is. Well, there's been a couple celebrities, movie stars, I should say, that have come down with COVID-19. Tom Hanks was patient zero.
Tom Hanks and his wife, Rita Wilson, were filming a movie in Australia, and I think he's back home and doing well. Yeah, they're back in the States. And Idris Elba, perhaps the next James Bond, he also stricken with the virus.
Yeah.
I imagine that will hurt his chances because I don't think James Bond would get the virus.
No.
No. He would have a little lighter or a tie clip or something that would inoculate him against it.
I saw a joke that Chuck Norris got the virus, but now the virus is in quarantine for 2 weeks. Well, Harvey Weinstein has COVID-19 too.
Yes, he does. Harvey Weinstein. Let me think. That's the Scary Movie 5 guy, right?
Scary Movie 5, Nut Job 2.
That's right. And Piranha 3 Double D. That's right. Now
all those. That's what he's known for.
That's what he'll be remembered for. It's a shame, but karma's a bitch. So there you go.
So you mentioned off the top that there are there's really no movies being played, obviously. The theaters are closed down. And then today, I guess there was an announcement that AMC might not be coming back, one of the biggest, maybe the biggest movie chain in the country.
Yeah, they're saying that they might never reopen, some kind of a credit score issue that would make it impossible for them to get the money they need to reopen in an industry that's been hurting for a long time. Let's be honest. But then there are other places that are saying that they could file bankruptcy and then still reopen under Chapter 11. So I think it's up in the air. But clearly, it's a signal that this is a serious issue. And if AMC's feeling it, I got to feel like some of the smaller chains and maybe even worse, a lot of the smaller independent houses may have a much harder time. There's the Music Box here in Chicago, which is fantastic. Theater shows a lot of art house films and does great sing-along films from the holidays. And It's a really cool place, and we certainly hope that they're keeping up. They may have a big enough support base to do that, but there are Landmark Century shows a lot of that kind of stuff, and there's a lot of really good theaters that I hope they will all be able to pull through. Of course, our own Classic Cinema's Lake Theater here in Oak Park, which we both frequent and love. It's a great place.
Yeah.
So, good luck to us all. But in the meantime, have you been streaming anything good?
Yeah, I've been streaming. Let's see, we streamed Ford versus Ferrari the other night. That's I think you might have saw that one.
Yeah, we watched it too. Family loved it. Kids really liked it. Actually, it was great movie. Really good.
Yeah, it was well done. Series wise, we did a series called Dairy Girls, Derry.
I have heard of this. How is it? I haven't watched it.
It's great. It's maybe 12 episodes total, 2 years, set in the 90s in Northern Ireland, and follows 4 girls like in high school, and just pure comedy. Absolutely take your mind off of what's going on. So it's something that definitely to check out on the streaming platform.
I just last night finished binge watching the 3rd and final season of Future Man on Amazon, which is so funny. I love that show. It's a very hard premise to even discuss. It's very violent. It's not a family thing, but it's a comedy straight up, and it's pretty hilarious. It's a time travel comedy, and it's a lot of good acting and a lot of very funny stuff. There's a lot of good recommendations to make, right?
Sure.
The Schitt's Creek is always a big one. Everybody's watched Tiger King by now. On the off the beaten path. Well, if you like a drama, if you like a good solid drama, Broadchurch. And I've been recommending this for a long time. It's so good. It's a BBC show, stars David Tennant, and I could kick myself for not remembering her name. She won an Oscar for playing the Queen in.
You can put it in the graphics.
I will. You know what? David Tennant and also I think it's I'm going to guess, and I can correct myself in the graphics. I believe it's Jodie Whittaker, the new Doctor Who, is also in it. But it is not sci-fi, and it is not lighthearted. It is super dark crime procedural about child murder in a small English seaside town. And I believe it's 3 seasons, at least 2, maybe 3 seasons. And it is so good. It is
different storylines each year, or is it continuing?
No, it's kind of a continuation of the storyline with a lot of the same characters. It evolves a lot.
Okay.
But it's super dark and gritty, but the acting is fantastic and the story's really well written. I cannot recommend it highly enough, but don't watch it if you're feeling a little down, because it will put you over the edge.
Who could be feeling down right now? Yeah.
It's a little dark.
Yeah, I might wait on that one for a while. Maybe.
It's good, but not something that you want.
I got one more streaming recommendation that's just so about 3 or 4 times a week, I think, maybe even more than that. Questlove of the Roots DJs on. He's on YouTube Live, Instagram, Twitter. Anyway, it looks like YouTube Live maybe has the best feed of it. And he'll pick a genre. Like he did Stevie Wonder, all Stevie Wonder for like 3 hours of Questlove picking music. Last night he just did break beats, like drum beats and how they were used. It's like going to hip hop college every night if you want to tune in. And so you just Questlove, you follow him on Instagram or look him up on YouTube. Just drop in. He's been doing it for the last couple weeks.
He's doing it every night?
It's not every night. It's at least 3 or 4 times a week where he's live, just spinning records. And he's got like a 75,000 record album collection or something, or more than that. I don't know, but he just drops he'll cut it out and he'll tell you like who played on it, where this sample was from. I mean, it's nice to just drop in and listen to what he's spinning. It's pretty cool.
That sounds awesome. That sounds great.
Yeah.
One of my quarantine activities has been a record club that I recently become a part of, and we've been doing virtual club, which is not as good, but it's still fun. We have a group of people and everybody spins stuff for each other. Mostly, some of it was we've converted some of it to streaming because not everyone has the technology to get their vinyl into the platform here. But it's still been great to and we always show the record and say this is it, and then maybe look it up on.
Now, where does the record club rank in the film league and book club? It's not a record league, but it's a
record club. It's a record club. It's much more. It's amateur. It's not pro. So, but it's a different thing. The film league stands alone.
Sure,
as we know. So, I think that's all of our news, right?
Right. Now we have to turn to our feature,
our marquee segment. Chris Picks.
Chris Picks.
All right, so welcome to Chris Picks. This is the April 2020 edition, and I hope you all watched our recommendations from last time, which I'm trying to remember what they were. The Man Who Would Be King, and what did you recommend? I can't remember.
I recommended Rushmore.
That's right, and Rushmore.
Wes Anderson. Yeah.
By now, you all should have had watched those, and we'll expect to report on our days Monday morning. So, moving forward, let's get into it. You want to go first? You want me to go first? Either way is fine.
My Chris Picks, I'll give you a Chris Picks. My Chris Picks that I think is now available. Most of everything's available. That I saw it with the family recently. We saw it in the theater. Knives Out. I don't know.
So good.
Yeah, it was really, really well done. All-star cast. Murder mystery. It's right in the classic wheelhouse of murder mystery in the the large estate home, and it's just a really well done movie, and I'd recommend it to just about any age group could see it. My over age 12 or 10 probably is fine, right? I mean, it's.
Oh yeah, I mean, my girls loved it, and actually it has like focused them on whodunits. So we since have watched Clue and Murder by Death, and we're gonna watch Murder on the Orient Express and Death on the Nile next, because they are both fascinated with the whodunit genre. It was amazing. I mean, they're my girls are let's say effervescent, maybe not always so quiet during the movie, and I'm telling you, watching these movies, not a peep. They are watching to figure out what's going on. It's amazing.
How'd they like Broadchurch? You show that one?
No, I haven't watched Broadchurch for them. We're trying to get through the whole Tarantino library first. But
what's your you got a Chris Picks for us?
I do. I thought about it a couple of different ways, and I think I was going to go all snooty and recommend my favorite Fellini film, but I'm going to save that. And instead, I am going to say, especially while you are sheltering in place and at home, revisit Young Frankenstein, if you haven't watched it in a long time, by Mel Brooks. Gene Wilder, probably his greatest performance, and I'm including Willy Wonka. Terry Garr.
Are you including Stir Crazy?
I am including. Although Silver Streak too, for that matter. Okay. But young Terry Garr, very funny. Cloris Leachman is a riot. Peter Boyle is the monster. Marty Feldman, a guy who was taken way too soon, and was hysterical.
Great.
Werewolf.
Werewolf?
There. What? Werewolf. There. Castle.
Why are you talking that way?
I thought you wanted to.
No, I don't want to.
Suit yourself. I'm easy.
Just top to bottom, amazingly funny movie. And the girls love it. I have 12-year-old daughters. They both really love it and got all the, well, not all the jokes. There were some that went over their head, and that's okay. They'll get them later in life, which is how you got to watch some of these movies. And I'm a Mel Brooks fan anyway. I came close to saying High Anxiety instead, but High Anxiety, you have, in my opinion anyway, in order to fully appreciate High Anxiety, you have to have some Hitchcock background, because he does such a magnificent job of spoofing all the Hitchcock films.
Right.
Still funny on its own, but you miss so much if you haven't seen the Hitchcock movie. Young Frankenstein stands on its own. I would venture to say that if you have never heard the Frankenstein story, you would still think it's hysterical.
Yeah.
But who hasn't heard that story? So that's my pick. And we have a special guest pick this week.
That's right.
We're going to go live several weeks ago to after my last live performance at Wire on the 13th of March. This is long after the show is over, hanging out late night with Mr. Chris Siebold, and he has a pick for us. So take it away, Chris.
Action. And very nice. So we're at Chris Picks Remote.
Yes,
we have
indeed.
Chris Siebold here, who's going to give us his pick, his movie pick for Reviews in the Camera Room. Chris, what do you got for us?
I've got Jabberwocky.
Jabberwocky.
Yes, it's Terry Gilliam's second directorial debut, like his first as his own director. He co-directed Monty Python and the Holy Grail with Terry Jones.
Right.
This was his first venture on his own. It stars Michael Palin. I think it's often overlooked, but it's definitely a precursor of things to come when you think of Time Bandits and you think of Brazil, Baron Munchausen and so forth. Like the style is very much established, and it's a very entertaining movie, extremely funny, and in many ways a lot grittier and a bit more authentic than a lot of the period medieval movies at the time. So for me, it gets 4 out of 5 stars. And the deluxe edition has a commentary with Terry Gilliam and Michael Palin, which is a hell of a lot of fun to listen to.
Excellent pick. Actually, I've seen this movie. It's a great film. And, you know, Terry Gilliam has a reputation as a super difficult guy.
Indeed.
And a tough guy to work with. His Don Quixote film, still in post after, 15 years or something. It may never make it out. Totally worth seeing. I give a hearty thumbs up. Jabberwocky, excellent pick. Chris picks Chris Siebold.
All right.
It's kind of an offbeat pick, Jabberwocky.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people have not seen it.
I've not seen it.
Oh, really? You should see it. It's pretty great, and it's odd and funny, but it's hard to describe. It's a little insane, like Terry Gilliam himself.
Yeah, for sure.
So there you go. All right, so moving to the meat and potatoes of the evening. The Film League met last when we were last able to meet together at your house, Chris.
Yes.
And you were in charge. You were the host. And what did you bring us? What more?
I was the host. I picked Idiocracy, the 2006 movie by Mike Judge. So Mike Judge is known for Beavis and Butthead, right? That was his original. And King of the Hill from a cartoon standpoint. And then, of course, the cult classic Office Space.
So good.
And then the series on HBO he's done, Silicon Valley, which was really, that's another streaming pick you could run.
And didn't he did another series too, didn't he, where it was, they were animated interviews with musicians. What was that called? That was called, hold on, I'm going to look it up. Here it is. Mike Judge presents Tales from the Tour Bus.
Don't know that one.
Yeah, he only did a couple of episodes. He did 2 episodes in 2017 and 3 episodes in 2018. Waylon Jennings, Billy Joe Shaver, George Clinton. Very interesting. So he interviews these musicians, and he animates the interview in his style.
Cool.
It's very good. But let's not get off topic. Let's talk about Idiocracy.
Yeah, so we got together at my house on March 12th, right before this. That was actually the last social gathering that I participated in. Thursday, March 12th, and had the league over. And I actually kind of audibled that movie right at the last minute. I had a couple ideas. I think I was the first one ever to just not tell anyone what I was going to pick. And there just was something about the timing of, what we were, it was starting to dawn on everyone that life was just about to change. Well, Idiocracy is a comedy, but it's also kind of a thought-provoking comedy about the future. The premise of it, basically, Luke Wilson and Maya Rudolph are the two featured stars.
It says protagonists. They're protagonists.
And so I don't want to give tons away in the movie, but the basic idea is that these two individuals, Luke Wilson and Maya Rudolph, are frozen they're supposed to be frozen for 1 year in an army experiment. And instead something goes terribly wrong, and they reanimated 500 years in the future. And the basic premise of it is the world, it's a dystopian movie, that the world has got progressively stupider over time, and they arrive in this world of just really, really profoundly dumb people. You watch it, it's sort of tragic, It
cuts a little deep sometimes. The idea, I think, is that that natural selection has gone the opposite way that you would think, and that the cream of the crop, the most educated, the most, the people at the top of the ladder have less and less children, and the people at the bottom of the ladder, intellectually and educationally, have more and more children, and consequently the population gets dumber and dumber. And there are a lot of jokes in there that I bet were not quite as biting when the movie was made as they are now. I don't want to draw any parallels, but one might look at today's current situation in the world and think, wow, this movie was pretty prescient.
Yeah, it is in a way a little bit. People have seen the movie have said, "Oh, it's not going to take 500 years for us to be in this position, and it's almost already here," and that kind of thing. I disagree, and I'm more hopeful about the future maybe than Mike Judge, but they do definitely they awake in a world of crisis.
Yes,
and not unlike what we're facing now, is a very serious crisis. And the parallel maybe to the current situation is you really need people who know what they're doing in charge to try to guide us through something like this. So you need smart people, experts, I guess, as it would be a parallel to the current situation.
And obviously it's taken to a degree of ridiculous.
Absurd.
Yeah,
right.
It couldn't. I can't even imagine it could even get that far. But there's enough reality to it that it does sting a little bit sometimes.
Yeah.
And I want to give a little beer can medal to Terry Crews for his fantastic portrayal of the president.
He was fantastic. He was so good at it.
It's just so funny. And the whole movie was really funny. I think the whole club really enjoyed it. And I don't think anybody else had seen it except you and I. Is that correct?
Yeah, the movie got completely buried in the box. Like it was not pushed at all by the studio. There's stories about how it was too. I guess it was 20th Century Fox that produced the movie, and he takes some shots at Fox News in the movie.
I love that too, by the way, because
yeah, I mean, for whatever reason, they didn't push the movie. Now it's a pure comedy. I don't want to make it sound like it's very serious or anything like that. It's full of laughs. Was it Justin Long?
Oh yeah.
Fantastic performance, brief performance.
Dax Shepard in the. I'm going to give away one thing because it's so funny. I'll give you an idea of the level of humor we're talking about here. In a lot of cases, is that when they come into the future and they run and Owen Wilson runs up against Dax Shepard, he's sitting in a chair that allows him to use the toilet while he's watching TV and playing video games and drinking a giant soda. So,
I mean, it has somebody mentioned that had seen WALL-E that was released 2 years after Idiocracy, that has the same, that society had sort of become lazy, that sort of content with just commercialism and not trying to make people's lives better.
Yeah, and a lot of trash, and problems with trash disposal.
Right.
Big theme in WALL-E as well. Yeah, it is interesting that there's actually a lot of you can see that the guys who wrote WALL-E probably saw this movie.
Yeah, they were not many people saw it. It absolutely flopped. Sort of just like Office Space. Office Space was a flop at the movie theater and at the theaters, and now I think that to me is one of the most ubiquitously quoted movies of its time. Office Space. Everybody I know likes that movie.
Yeah, everybody likes that movie, and everybody has at least one favorite scene and a quote from that movie. Anybody who's worked in an office, right?
For sure.
And I think Judge has always been like that. Beavis and Butthead was like that too. Panned pretty universally at the beginning, and then later became, it took me a long time to come around to that. But there was a lot of really good, solid humor in that stuff.
Yeah.
I think this was a good pick. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Should we go to the review?
Yeah, I'll give it the. What's the?
Okay, so here we go. Once again is light beer, lager, IPA, porter.
All right, porter. I'm giving it a porter as one of the better comedies I've seen in my top 10 of comedies, I'd say.
Wow, bold, full flavored.
I mean, it's probably not for everybody. I'm guessing that some people I know were put off by the graphics, by the special effects weren't particularly. I don't think he had the budget to really do it, but that's not the point.
In a comedy, that doesn't bother me so much,
Right.
I think Idiocracy. I'm going to probably go. I don't think I can go full porter, but I would go more than IPA. So I'm going to go IPA and a half, or Imperial IPA, I think is what we called it.
Imperial IPA, yeah.
So we'll say IPA and a half. So, because again, very sharply written, very prescient. The acting's good. The jokes are funny, and I like all the actors in it too. I mean, aside from, like I said, Terry Crews, Dax Shepard, Owen Wilson, love Maya Rudolph. I mean, it's a good movie. It's well worth a watch. But it does. I can see why it didn't do well at the box office, because it has a real indie flavor to it.
Right.
It's not polished, which I like about it. But I know that for mass appeal, that's not always going to go.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I can see why it didn't. I can see why it's not like Sonic the Hedgehog, just sweeping America.
Well, no Jim Carrey. So,
that's true.
I shouldn't say that. I'm a fan of Jim Carrey's. Don't get me wrong. Save your letters.
Oh boy, yeah.
Oh, here they come. Truman Show was a masterpiece. No, but actually, The Majestic. But I guess that's all we got, right? Are we done?
That's all we have for the Idiocracy. I think I've said what I want to say about that movie.
I think that was a great pick. I think everybody in the club agrees, and I'm sorry, the league. And we have had some Zoom discussions with the other league members about what we're going to do and how we're going to proceed during the crisis. And we hear that there is a Chrome browser plugin called Netflix Party that lets you watch a movie from Netflix in a group and control it from a single point, and you know, everybody can pause and stuff. And I think there's a chat bar as well, so you can interact during the film. And if that's true, we're going to do that because that sounds like a blast, and it would be a good way for us to do one of these. The next member up on the rolls to choose a movie is Chris Waters, but I don't think we're going to force him to use this. If he doesn't want to, we'll come up with something by consensus and do it anyway. And then, you know, we'll make another one of these. Ideally, we'll be back in the beer can room to do it, but who knows? You know, at this point, it's hard to say how long it's going to go. But good news for all of you fans out there is that we are going to do some mini-sodes for you in the meantime. And you should start seeing those, I'm going to say next week, but we're not going to tell you when we film this, so you'll never know whether we're on with that or not. But what we'll do is we'll do some bite-sized 5-minute to 10-minute long episodes, probably closer to 5 on most. Just give you maybe some listicles of things worth watching or something good that we watched to come across. Maybe a couple of Chris picks on their own, just to keep you interested and have some things coming at you. So keep your eye out. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do. And like us as well. And like us in person, because really we're nice guys and we like you. So
we might not be able to meet our fans for a long time though.
That's right. I can't wait for the first fan meeting. We'll do it at Comic-Con.
Okay. Yes, that will be excellent.
All right, so I guess we're signing off then. So I'm Chris Neville.
I'm Chris May.
This is Reviews
from the Beer Can. Sort of.
Good enough. All right, we'll see you next time, folks. Thanks.
Bye.